Assalamu alaikum. I saw in a sister's story, another story, about a sister. In essence, she is saying, learn your rights before you get married. And absolutely true. Learn your rights before you get married. And that in of itself, learning your rights before you get married, it's not enough. It's not enough. You also have to investigate who you marry. You also have to have taqwa pertaining to who you marry. All of this is very important. Because, as what the sister said, many sisters, they end up, especially revert sisters, they would end up marrying brothers, Muslims, from Muslim countries, wealthy Muslim countries. And these are brothers that usually that have some wealth with them, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar, etc. And this doesn't only apply to reverts, this applies to all sisters. This could happen too. And what it is that, these brothers, may Allah forgive them and guide them, they put up a facade, they fake who they are. I'm a talib al-ilm, I'm a student of knowledge, I do this, I do that, etc. I'm a good son, and it's a whole bunch of fakeness, right? And the sisters probably don't do proper investigation, like sending someone to talk to them, like a man to talk to them and to investigate them and question them about their deen. I've been through this. I've been through where one sister, she sent me one of her teachers to talk to me. Had a long conversation, alhamdulillah, and it went well, alhamdulillah. But that's just an experience, and that's an example as well. If you were going to marry somebody, you have to investigate them. You have to know who they are. So unfortunately, these brothers, they end up claiming they are someone who they are not. And then they end up marrying these brothers, and they end up being, what? Abusive. Or they smoke weed, or they drink alcohol, or they spend no time seeking knowledge, of course. They go out to parties and they cheat on their wives, saying that I'm allowed more than one wife, and then, they get girlfriends or something like this, or etc. Left and right, doing different types of oppressive things, up to the extent of verbally abusing, physically abusing, having children with them, and not being there for their children left and right. And up to one extent, one sister that I met, she became like a Cinderella, like the negative part of that story, like a servant to his family. And she lived in Dubai. She lived in Dubai, and she had nobody there from her own family, in terms of family and friends, nobody. And she lived in that situation, and she faced physical and verbal abuse. And after she had her third son, Allah bless them, she ended up leaving him, divorcing him, and moving back with her family. Alhamdulillah. So the problem is that this happens a lot. This happens a lot. And why is it happening a lot? Why is it happening a lot? And I'm gonna be that guy. Why are these sisters looking for rich, wealthy men in the Middle East to get married? Because they don't want to marry the common Abdullah in their own hometown or their own country. They don't want to build with a man. They don't want to be ride or die. And the term ride or die, from an Islamic perspective, means that I'll be there for you. I'll support you through thick and thin. I'll always be there for you. I'll always give you that mental and physical support, or whatever it is. If you need help, I will help you in any way, shape, or form. These sisters, they don't have that mentality. Many sisters don't have that mentality, not all. So they end up wanting to marry men who has it all already in terms of dunya. So she marries this guy in a Muslim country. So what done? She already made hijrah, alhamdulillah. And she's living in a Muslim country, alhamdulillah. And all of these good things. But she realizes, the man that she's married is a joker, is somebody that lied, a fake, And she ends up not being to live that dream life that she wanted to. When, if she had married Abdullah from her own country, and stayed with him, and hustled with him, and worked with him, and supported him, and, be strong with him, and they could have lived together happily. And Abdullah would have appreciated her for all of the things that she has done for him. Inshallah. After that, it's a big problem where sisters don't admit to these mistakes. Big problem. They don't admit, oh, I was wrong to do this, to marry somebody because it filled my, desires. They can say, oh, I married this man because he has good manners, this and that and the third. No. Don't also forget the fact you married this man because he's wealthy and he lives in a Muslim country and he comes from a wealthy family, and everything from the dunya that you had in your heart, this man had. A nice car, BMW, this and that status. You get to live that Dubai lifestyle, etc. Don't play yourself. And this is something that sisters have to confess to as a mistake. You could have married the random Abdullah in your country that's hustling and working and responsible and upon his deen and known to be seeking knowledge. So much so you could contact his teachers and be like, yes, he's somebody that is seeking knowledge. And you could have been happy with him. And you could have been, appreciated by him and loved by him. But because he didn't have the dunya that you were seeking, you didn't marry him. You went to go marry somebody that was a gharib, somebody strange and unknown to you from another land, because of his wealth. And if sisters don't admit to these mistakes, more sisters will keep coming up and making the same mistakes. If sisters stop blaming men, sometimes the blame has to be on yourself, so you can catch yourself, so this mistake doesn't have to happen again with other younger sisters. You can blame men all you want, and it keeps happening. Those men are still going to exist. You have to have the ability to change and to adapt and to learn and to correct yourself. Understand this? And if you don't do that, it's going to keep happening. And younger sisters are going to fall into the same trap. Oh, I married this person because he's this, and next thing you know, she gets divorced 2 years, 3 years later. And do you know how hard it is for a divorcee to get married again? And you could have married, again, you could have married the simple, brother from your community, from your state, from your country, that's hustling, working, responsible, and he has a good reputation, people that can speak on his behalf. The only thing is that he's not wealthy, and he's not living in a Muslim country. You could have done that. When you admit to your mistakes, and you admit to the reality of the situation, and you don't only blame the brother, but you put some blame on yourself, and you educate the Muslim female youth about these matters, it will protect them from the same mistake that you made. Alright? And again, I'm not saying that the brothers, they're excused. I'm not saying that at all. But you have to understand the reality behind your decision and why you did that. Right? And you should teach the sisters this as well. Don't leave this part out. Don't leave this part out. When you do this, the purpose of admitting to your mistake, it educates the people, it protects them from making the same mistake. May Allah increase us in beneficial knowledge. May Allah have mercy and forgiveness on us. May Allah guide us. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum.